So sorry about that. This is part two. Um, that's why I had to do a little bit different of a review. If it's going to be in two videos, and it'll be separate. So for the Hollywood Spy, the very front, of course, with the entire wrap of it, and wrapping up the view of just being a plain author and an educator. She won the Barry Award and has been nominated for the Edgar McCavity, Agatha, Left Coast Crime, Dilly's, and ITW Thriller Awards. She lives in New York with her husband and son. Now, what's interesting about this is that the process in understanding why you would have different parts of an award on the book in which you actually are sharing it with students, it requires you an understanding of why there are different literary awards and why there are a different review set for different companies that publish. So although we have very good indie published books, those that are very strong with the publishing field, especially in New York, are very set on different types of companies to work with. This one comes from the published, it was published by Bantam Books, an imprint of Random House, a division of Penguin Random House LLC, New York. Bantam Books is a registered trademark, and the B. Colophon is a trademark of Penguin Random House LLC. Originally published in hardcover in the United States, which I do study and check in on paperback versus hardcover versus spiral bound versus digital. It's a very interesting industry, even though book locations had changed and closed down. It had to incorporate a lot more technology, and with the research with technology being added into the classrooms with even book reading and digital books, it made more sense for even Barnes and Noble. Now, as a publisher and a published author, I can appreciate these things, but unless a teacher themselves gets to know the publishing field to that degree, not just in researching the award of the actual author, but understanding why it's important for a student to even understand and then tie it into social media, they will not get anything out of it. Trust me, I am more of a writer than I am an audio type of person, even though I'm interested in my music and sound engineering and those types of processes. So, even with that, it requires a different type of taste in understanding journalism, published author work, social media work, and profiles versus target audience and why that's even there. So at the top, The Hollywood Spy is a work of fiction. All incidents and dialogue and all characters, with the exception of some well known historical figures, are products of the author's imagination and are not to be construed as real. Where real life historical persons appear, the situations, incidents, and dialogues concerning those persons are entirely fictional and are not intended to depict actual events or to change the entirely fictional nature of the work. In all other respects, any resemblance to persons living or dead is entirely coincidental. Here's what's interesting: when you tie in the technology part, you'll find that some of it can be coincidental in the real versus fake news and nonfiction versus fiction and how it's connected. When you tie it into an author's life and style and how we exit the world so that we don't have to be a part of some of those that do read, okay? There's a different technology and security field that's also tied into all of this, which is the reason for this type of a information process. Now, because I was a Battleship Missouri tour guide at one point, This part made me want to do the video. So even though this is part two, this part is what made me want to consider sharing a bit more. This book is dedicated to the memory of Leon Lewis, an attorney and disabled American veteran who was gassed during World War One, along with his fellow lawyer Mendel Silverberg and director Joseph Roos, as well as the men and women of the Los Angeles Community Relations Committee of the Jewish Federation Council. They worked to fight Nazism in Los Angeles before and during World War II at considerable risk to themselves and their families. I will say that as a military discharge during training, having been gassed was already a very interesting process for my skin. It's not something that I've been accustomed to learning. I understood it even with my ex husband's paintball gun. Paintball mask and those types of headgear actually prepares you to wear a gas mask. What's interesting is that when you actually feel and sense, you get a better feeling for where your body is at to become acclimated to what is around in an area, in the environment, which is why we have environmentalists. So I hope that helps a few of you that do different types of reviews. If you are a student researching or doing a type of book study, the prologue for this, because it's supposed to be fictional, it was 1943 and America was at war. In the back, Los Angeles 1943, as the Allies beat back the Nazis in the Mediterranean and the United States military closes in on Tokyo. Walt Disney cranks out wartime propaganda and the Coconut Grove pulses with jazz. It's very interesting. Coconut is Cocoanut, and jazz you don't typically have in a book unless it talks about a little bit of music. So, although I haven't gone through this book, take a look at the book and enjoy. I don't know if there's any other thing that I would like to cover on this. Cover design is by Victoria Allen. Cover illustration, Mick Wiggins. And author photographer is Noel McNeil. I actually like the overall design. So I hope all of you get a chance to read it. If you have it to download, please download. This is Stacey saying, hey, out from a different country and a different viewpoint of a country. Go into fiction.